So in today's round of Unhinged News, Tori Spelling has launched a new podcast. In her very first episode, she has called her husband Dean and notified him that she is officially divorcing him live on the phone with him. Let's get into it. Whew. You're listening to No Filter with Zach Peter, your go-to source for all the latest pop culture and reality TV tea, served fresh all week long. Now, let's dive in. Welcome on in, welcome on in, welcome on in. What's going on? How you doing, everybody? Wow. So first of all, I hope you had a happy Easter. If you guys celebrate Easter, I hope you had a good one. Or if not, at least I hope you got your Easter basket filled, even if you're Jewish. Happy Monday. We have a good, it's gonna be a good week. Why? Because we're gonna make it a good week. I know that's right. So, yes, I did get a haircut. Thank you. Thanks. I left the top a little long, so if you want to pull it in bad, you can. Hi guys. So, wow, we have quite the wild news today. We have Ariana's brother who got engaged without Ariana seemingly. We have John Mayer that's calling out Scheana Shay. We have Tori Spelling who's opening up about her divorce on her new podcast. And like I said, it is wild and unhinged. Okay. So where do we want to start? Let's start with Ariana and Jeremy. So Jeremy, Ariana's brother, I guess he's engaged to his girlfriend. But the interesting thing is Scheana Shay posted about it and he was celebrating with Sheena. There was an Instagram story and there was a little like GIF in the bottom corner that says, she said yes. And then it's Jeremy popping a bottle of champagne. So they're celebrating that he's engaged. I don't know where Ariana's at. Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? Where in the world is Ariana Madix? Nobody knows. Not with her brother. So it seems like after he, went off and he's like, I'm waiting to hear from my sister. Because I haven't heard from my sister. Oh, it looks like she's still in New York for Chicago. Yeah, she's in Chicago doing the damn thing. Thank you, Robin, aka the Easter Bunny. I wonder how many more of these I will find in my dressing room. And she's showing all these eggs that she found in her dressing room. But no congratulations to Jeremy. Which are we surprised? Are we not? Oh my goodness. Do you know how okay. For all my spiritual manifestation people, little side note tangent, okay? Do you know when you ask the universe for like little signs and you're like, hey, universe, if something like, I need a message, I need a sign, can you show me this symbol, this image, this whatever, right? And you're like, if this is the message I need to receive, do you know what I mean? Have you ever asked the universe, I need my spiritual people, where are you at? Well, I just saw a sign, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a very specific symbol, image thing, okay? Very specific thing that I'm like, okay, universe, tell me this message. If I see this specific thing randomly out anywhere, let me know. Just checked my phone, came across a random Instagram profile, and this thing is in an emoji, and there are 4 of them in this person's bio, which is very interesting. Not angel numbers, but it was a specific image that happens to also be an emoji, and I just saw 4 of those emojis right now. Interesting. Is that a sign? Is that a meaning? What are the tarot card readers on TikTok going to tell me? Anyway, that was just a tangent. Side note. Congrats to Ariana's brother, but I guess, and congrats to Ariana. She's living her best life without him. She's like, thank you. Next. Thank you. Next. Oh, yeah, mamma mia. Wait, what's going on with Ben? Who's Ben? Good morning. Oh. Ben Higgins? Who did an interview with Ben? You guys are throwing me off in the live chat today with your side tangents. But anyway, congrats to Jeremy. Let's talk Tori Spelling because this is wild. Okay, so she launched a new podcast. Her new podcast is called Miss Spelling. And Ben was a typo. Okay, so nobody knows who Ben is, but Ben was a typo. And now we're talking about some random dude named Is that a sign? Universe, is that a message? Ben? I don't know who Ben is. Ben is going to be your future husband, imagine. No. I don't even know a fucking Ben, so that's gonna be a hard no. But Tori Spelling, as we found out over the weekend, I believe it was on Sunday, right? Saturday or Sunday. We found out that Tori Spelling has officially filed for divorce from Dean McDermott. They've been together for 18 years. They have what 5 children together. It all started with Liam. So they were backstory, right? Because we also just read, it's so interesting because we just read Tori Spelling's book in our book club, when she talks about how her and Dean met. So that video is actually still on YouTube. But how she talks about how her and Dean met, and they met on the set of a rom-com, and then they fell in love, and then they were each married at the time, so they had to leave each other's partners. And then Tori, even in her podcast, her debut podcast episode of Miss Spelling, she talks about how, she remembers notifying her ex that she left him in therapy. Like they were in therapy together, like a Tom and Ariana situation. And she's like, we were in therapy together. And then I told him that I was leaving him. And that's how she broke the news. So today, Zack will meet a Ben at a party. Oh God, could you? Well, yeah, the emoji that I was talking about has no reference to any of that. But it was just interesting, the emoji. So I don't know, maybe I will meet a Ben one day and he's gonna leave me in a therapy session. But love doesn't win because Tori Spelling is now not only outing all of the reasons that she's leaving Dean in this podcast episode, but she notifies him. So the podcast episode starts and she's like, oh my God, it's live. It's live. It just happened. And it's a text message that she gets from her lawyer notifying her, all right, it's up, it's out. The divorce filing is officially public. And the press is going to pick up on it any minute, probably because we're about to tip them off. So she's like, I need to tell Dean. And then she gets into this thing about how, and I don't know how divorce law works necessarily, especially here in California. I aspire to be divorced one day, but I'm not there yet. So she says that I guess there's like an important thing about who ends up filing for divorce first. She's literally talking this all through on the podcast, right? Oh my God, it's breaking news and I just filed for divorce and it just happened right now. I need to notify Dean, but I couldn't tell him beforehand because it's important about who files first. So I need to call him. And then she picks up her phone and she calls Dean. She's literally on the phone. I have like my nose. I have like something in my nose. Sorry. She's literally calling Dean and she's on the phone and I'm listening to this and I'm like, is this really happening right now? She's talking to the other producers in the studio and she's calling him to let him know, hey, by the way, I just filed for divorce from you. So he doesn't answer the phone, right? And I'm like, okay, this is good. I was like, would she actually like have a conversation with him? And then she's like, oh my God, it's going to break in the press and he's going to find out in the press. And oh my God, I can't believe he's going to find out that way. And I would rather him know from me, but I couldn't tell him before I filed because it's important about who filed first and blah, 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 right? Then next thing you know it, he calls her back. And then she's like, oh my God, he's calling. And then she answers the phone and she's like, hello. It's like it's like a reality show that's like happening in front. Like literally, I'm like, what is happening right now? And she's talking to him on the phone and she's like, hi, just so you know, I want you to know I filed for divorce. It's public. It's out there. TMZ is probably going to pick it up, whatever. And then they like have like this little tiff about like why she gets to file for divorce first. And she's like, well, what do you mean? You put all of our business out there because you already went and told the press about it before. So, why don't I get to file for divorce first? And I'm like, are we listening to this right now? Like, I feel like we're not supposed to be here for this. I was like, wow, this is like the level of unhinged I will probably do one day. If I ever, when I file for divorce one day, like, I'm going to do it live on a podcast just like this. Like, I've given you guys so much of my life that, like, I feel like that's the only way to do it. I tweeted that out because I was like, this is like so unhinged. And then this guy, beefy vibes on Twitter. His name is Reality Bites 555, and we tweet all the time. He's a hunga burn and left. But anyway, he's like real beefy. But so, that's why it's called Beefy Vibes. But so we were tweeting, and he was just like, it's the never ending Tori. Because you know how every reality show, she was like, true Tori, spelling it like it is. And now it's misspelling is her new podcast. So he's like, it's the never ending Tori. And then I was like, I was like, I would do some shit like this. Like if I'm ever gonna file when I file for divorce one day. I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't put that in the universe, right? Like, why get married if I'm just gonna get divorced? But I don't know. It just my life trajectory just. I feel like divorce is just in my cards. You know how like sometimes you just intuitively know things, and I'm just like, I'm gonna get divorced one day. It's just in the cards for me. Love wins. Oh, today's podcast is a little unhinged, aren't we? Jesus just rose and, getting wild. But so Beefy Vibe said it's not iconic. And it's true. It's not iconic to like inform your now ex-husband that you've officially filed for divorce as you're about to out this to the world. And then she gets into like all of the reasons why she's filing for divorce, right? And she's like, "Oh, we've been together for 18 years, but I've been thinking about divorcing him for at least like the past 15, 16 years." And I'm like, "That's pretty early on." And then she's like, "I started seeing red flags like, 4 months in." And I'm like, "Well, technically, you guys didn't really start on the best foot because you like, were in other marriages when you guys got together. So like, that's interesting." So I just don't feel like, it was necessarily on a the best note. Thank you. Look at Russ Davis just gifted 5 Zack Pack memberships. He's like, "If you guys like today's Monday morning unhinged podcast with Zach Peter, you're gonna love the members only." Yep, we have a members only every week. Thanks to Russ, 5 more people just got a new membership. Michelle says, "I had a psychic at my bachelorette party and she told me my second wedding would have been even more beautiful than the first." Wow. And was it? I love how we all just believe in love today, right? Mm. Love wins. So yeah, that's just listen to the I haven't there's like a 10 minutes left in the podcast, in her podcast, that I haven't finished listening to yet that I very much look forward to listening to. Like, we thought Shannon Doherty's podcast was good, right? Because she came out and then she was like, "Oh yeah, my ex-husband, and he was this and he was that." And she was like outing the ex-husband. And then after that, then she brings like Shannon Doherty on, and then they're like outing Alyssa Milano and like calling her out and doing shots fired, pop, pop. And now it's like, hmm, Tori Spelling's like, "Let me level up." She's like, "There's doing it, and then there's Vogue." And Tori Spelling came to do Vogue. So yeah, I highly recommend listening to her podcast. But like I said, like, this is just the level of unhinged I aspire to be one day. But also, that tells me that the Tori and Dean brand was a total fucking farce. If she's like, "I was planning on leaving him," she's like, and then she's like, "But I got pregnant with Liam, and then I was gonna leave him, and then I got pregnant with Stella, and then I was gonna leave him, and then I was like, what? And you accidentally had 3 more kids after that. You like knew you wanted to leave him." And she's like, "Well, but like there were benefits to having Dean around. Like I didn't know how to put the car seat in, and like he knew how to do that. So like." I'm glad that I had him around because he knew how to put in the car seat. I'm like, you sold us on the Tori and Dean brand of love. I believed in love. And now we have Kyle and Mauricio and Tori and Dean. Do you remember? And she didn't even leave him when he cheated on her. Remember that whole thing with True Tori? And then they're like screaming and crying and like having these fits of rage. I remember when True Tori came out on Lifetime. That show was unhinged. But this is just Tori Spelling. Her life is unhinged. But then she's talking about how he's always had these drinking issues and anger issues. And she said that even when they were filming their reality show, that they would have to edit around their fights because they didn't want their fights to be on the show because the brand is love, right? Tori and Dean in love, not Tori and Dean in chaos, not Tori and Dean in toxicity. She's like, "I love red flags, though." She's like, "I love to make dresses out of red flags." And I'm like, "Same, girl, same, same. Let's get it." Oh man, it's just, whew. Oh, Wanda said, "Zach, you looking fine. That hair is perfect. Boy, you get better looking the older you get. No offense." Thank you. Well, it's better than like Crystal Minkoff, who, remember her tagline was like, "They say that wisdom comes with age, but I'm proving them wrong because I get dumber." So I'm glad I at least get better looking. Thank you. That's so sweet. Even today at the gym, Joe was our coach. Joe's our Monday coach, and Joe is a snack. He's got the muscles and the tattoos and all the things. Joe is a snack, okay? And Joe even complimented my haircut, and he complimented my muscles today. He was like, "I saw you running on the treadmill today, and I didn't even recognize you because you've been like getting beefed up." And I was like, "I know that's right, Joe. Preach. Period." But thank you guys. Thank you for all the compliments. Wow, I feel good. I feel like I need to get laid today as a result of just like all the compliments I'm getting. Okay, Michelle in the live chat wants everybody to know she's still married to the first guy. So even though the psychic told her that her second wedding was going to be more beautiful than her first wedding, she's not yet on the second wedding. But you know what, Michelle? I'm rooting for your second marriage, girl. I'm rooting for you. That second marriage is going to come in hot. Whew. Mallory says, having more kids is a recipe for disaster. And she says this as the youngest of 5. I mean, I think my dad also has 5. I think 5 kids. I mean, I was the oopsie whoopsie in high school. I was the oopsie whoopsie that came from, behind the bleachers. So I was the first blessing. What were those numbers again, Zach? What numbers? Tori is so her dad's daughter. The great Aaron Spelling changed TV, and now Tori is creatively making lemonade out of lemons. Worry about how the kids will turn out. She talks about the kids too, and she's like, listen, each kid is different. Each kid responds differently. So, yeah. So that every child is different. So I just want to know but she says that the kids are used to like the press and the speculation. She talks about how, like, remember when everyone thought she was like poor and living in an RV, and then she's like, because her daughter Stella, or one of them, Hallie was at school, and one of the kids was like, oh my God, your family's poor. They live in an RV. And she's like, no, we were like camping. It was our family vacation, and we took the RV. We rented the RV for the week, and we were literally camping. We weren't living in an RV. But also, I don't know, I feel like Tori Spelling knows how to, like, use the press to, like, make herself relevant so she can make money off of this type of. But yeah. She said that even though Dean had a bunch of red flags, that what she did love, and see, I can relate to this. I'm probably gonna be like Tori Spelling one day, but she's like, even though he had anger issues and drinking issues, she's like, he just accepted me for who I am, and she accepted my life. She's like, I had a really big life, and I was always like in the press and always making headlines, and he accepted that, which I don't know, that's also kind of a red flag. Like, if he's running towards your lifestyle in the tabloids, like, do we think he like really loved her, or do you think like, you know, he loved everything that came with her lifestyle? Listen, I hope one day to find my Dean. Anger problems, drinking problems, you know, enthralling his life into the media. Let's do it, you know? Um, NYCNP, you said it was the universe sign. Oh, yeah, I said it was the universe. I didn't say it was a number. I saw an emoji, a specific emoji. Why is everybody saying I look hot today? April Fools, but I'm a fool for you. Like, thank you, Norma. Guys, I'm literally like in a white t-shirt and like haven't I have like scruff. I do have a fresh haircut, so thank you. I appreciate that. You make me feel nice. But you keep distracting me with all your compliments in the live chat. I'm like, oh, I feel so spicy. Um, yeah. So Tori Spelling is living her best life. You do you, boo. I do have Carlos King on the podcast tomorrow, so stay tuned for that, guys. Carlos King is in the podcast, so get ready for it. Get ready. Let's go. So yeah, what do we think? Were Tori and Dean truly in love, or were they truly in infatuation? Like, I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are on this whole Tori and Dean stuff, but I want to talk some more of Vanderpump Rules, because we have some more Vanderpump tea, or at least some Vanderpump news, right? But before that, I just wanted to remind you, not that you need me to remind you because you already know this, but your pet is one of a kind, and so is their journey. While every playful moment is a memory in the making, sometimes our cats and dogs are a little too good at getting into trouble. Boy, do I know it. I got 2 beautiful big boys, and they love to get into trouble because they're still only a year old. But that's why I'm telling you guys, you should check out ASPCA Pet Health Insurance. The ASPCA Pet Health Insurance Program offers customizable accident and illness plans, making it easier for pet parents like you and me to help your pets get the care that they may need. They allow you to customize your plan, helping ensure that your pet's plan is as unique as they are, because vet bills can really add up, especially when you're least expecting it. It's simple. Use their app to submit a claim, and you'll receive reimbursement for eligible vet bills directly into your bank account. To explore coverage, visit aspcapetinsurance.com/no-filter. That's aspcapetinsurance.com/no-filter. Again, that's petinsurance.com/no-filter. This is a paid advertisement. Insurance is underwritten by either Independence American Insurance Company or United States Fire Insurance Company and produced by PTZ Insurance Agency Limited. The ASPCA is not an insurer and is not engaged in the business of insurance. So yeah, there we go. Dun 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 dun. So yeah, dog mom Laura says, "Love your stories of your pups. Die laughing when I'm taking my pup, Bo." You're dying laughing at what? The destruction of my couch? The destruction of my furniture? I turn away for like 2 seconds and they destroy it. They're at my mom's house right now because they spent the night over there because it was Easter and we got home late and I, you know, sent them to my mom's to play with their brothers while we were all at Easter because too many dogs and too many things and whoof. But so hopefully you guys had a fun Easter. Uh-oh, Joe has entered the live chat. Joe says, "Happy April Fools and happy Monday, everybody." Hey, Joe. Oh, Michelle says, "You never know when your dog will get into 500 laxatives." Why do you have 500 laxatives, girlfriend? That is so many laxatives. How many laxatives are you taking per day? That does not sound healthy, Michelle. No wonder why you're about to lose your husband and get a second one. It's like, first husband's going to be like, 500 laxatives, that's too many laxatives. And then second husband's going to be like, "Ooh, her body looks snatched." Mm-hmm. Be like, "I want that. Give me that snack. Break her back." Yeah. Oh, Ariana's dog ate. That's right. 500 laxatives is just so many laxatives to keep on hand. You know? Why does Ariana have 500 laxatives? All right, so we talked about Jeremy, Ariana's brother. We talked about Tori filing for divorce. Again, I highly recommend you listen to Miss Spelling because it is wild. Wild, wild, wild. Other news, Lala Kent bought a $3.1 million house in the Valley. She's ready. She's ready to join the Valley. Sheena and Lala have now bought houses in the Valley. Good for them, I guess. Ariana bought her house in the Hollywood Hills, so she's like, "Nah, peace out, yo. I'm not moving to the Valley." She's like, "I'm moving out of the Valley. Thank you. Next." She's like, "I already live down the hall from my ex. The last thing I want to do is live around the corner from him too." So Ariana bought her house, Lala bought her house. I mean, I think this is the most expensive house of them all. The only ones that don't live in the Valley now are Ariana and Stassi. The rest of them, I believe, are all in the Valley. But I mean, a $3.1 million house, like, get it, Lala. She also bought, didn't they buy houses in Palm Springs? Isn't that where Sheena and Lala bought their houses right next to each other? It was in Palm Springs. So they have multiple properties now. So the cast of Vanderpump Rules seems to be doing A-okay. Yeah. Good for Lala. She's doing the damn thing. So do we think that they are gonna end up pivoting over to the Valley then? I feel like if they're buying houses, well, I mean, also if they're gonna buy a house, like where else are they gonna buy a house? They're not gonna buy a house in like Santa Monica. They're not gonna buy a house in like it's kind of where you go when you're settling down and you're in LA. Like you go to the Valley to buy a house and have a yard and raise a family. It's just kind of the thing that you do. Um I guess, right? Mm, I don't know. Vanderpump Rules is kind of dead. Yeah, see, I feel like Vanderpump, what they will probably, well, now they have Vanderpump Villa, which is on Hulu, but I feel like Bravo may want to reboot Vanderpump Rules altogether. I mean, now that the Valley's kind of popping off, I feel like if we put all of our eggs in the Valley, and I feel like with the billboards that they were putting around, it was always saying Vanderpump Rules the next chapter or the next chapter of Vanderpump Rules, something like that. So it seems like they were kind of pushing us in that direction that like Vanderpump Rules is moving to the Valley. All of these cast members are moving to the Valley. The ratings of Vanderpump are so strong that I also am kind of like, oh, like, are they going to want to mess with this formula? Because, you know, networks are very hell bent on like wanting to make sure that they like milk every show for what they can. But like, I can see them moving Sheena and Lala to the Valley, maybe even James and Sandoval over to the Valley, and then letting Katie and Ariana sail off into the sunset with their sandwich shop. I don't know. Something about this just feels like that's the direction that we're going in. And maybe try to do Vanderpump Rules and it's Lisa Vanderpump and it's a whole new cast of people, right? We take it back to the roots, build it up as a reboot from scratch. I feel like there's at least potential there, especially since like most people, I feel like are newer to Vanderpump since Scandival, that they may be interested in a whole new cast, and the ones that are interested in the old cast may be interested in moving over to the Valley. I don't know. Like I said, I have Carlos King on the podcast tomorrow, so I'll ask him what he thinks since he's kind of like an expert in all of this, and I trust him in his opinion. So we'll see. But congrats to Lala on getting that $3.1 million house. She's like, I got property, and it's more expensive than all of y'all. Period. It's expensive to be me. It's expensive to be me. In other Vanderpump Rules news, John Mayer is annoyed with Scheana Shay. According to page 6, there's a source that is saying that he is not happy with Scheana after she alluded to them hooking up back in the day. Remember when she was like, I had a threesome with an A-list celebrity. Let's just say my body is a wonderland. And so now he's like, oh my God. And then she was posting like old press clippings of when they were rumored to be dating. Well, actually, it wasn't even rumored. There were rumors that were going around about Scheana dating John Mayer. And then Scheana did an interview with Young Hollywood where she's like, we're talking. She's like, we're not like, I'm not his girlfriend. We're both still single, but like, I'm talking. I guess she met him at his birthday party when he was dating Jennifer. I'm assuming Jennifer Aniston. That's who he was dating right back then. Or who was it? Or was there another Jennifer that he was dating? I don't remember. But so I guess he broke up with Jennifer, and then because he met Sheena at that party, they ended up like hanging out a bit more, and it seemed like they had more of like a casual relationship, but there were all these press clippings about Scheana Shay being John Mayer's new girlfriend. And so I guess it confirms like they did hook up. He's like, I want nothing to do with Sheena. Like, I'm over it. But it's funny. I forgot who it was. Somebody's like, he's finding a lot harder to dispel these rumors about dating Sheena more than he ever tried to dispute any rumors about him hooking up with Andy Cohen. I was like, that is an interesting hot take. How fast can John Mayer put up a flat screen TV? Great question, Kenny G. Great question. Oh, it was Jennifer Love Hewitt. John Mayer was dating Jennifer Love Hewitt. Really? Why do I not remember John Mayer and Jennifer Love Hewitt dating? Is that a real thing? John Mayer dating Jennifer. He did date. Oh, he dated Jennifer Love Hewitt and Jennifer Aniston. Interesting. I don't remember him dating Jennifer Love Hewitt. I mean, it seems like that was an older relationship. Jennifer Love Hewitt. Did John Mayer? They dated briefly in 2002, and then he was dating Jennifer Aniston, and that was he dated Jennifer Aniston on and off for about a year after they met at a party in 2008. So it looks like Sheena's referring to Jennifer Aniston, not Jennifer Love Hewitt, because 2008's around the time that it was like the late 2000s. Yeah, Jennifer Aniston was way earlier. Yeah, that's why I don't really remember him dating Jennifer Aniston, because that was a while ago. Oh my God, he wrote Body is a Wonderland about Jennifer Love Hewitt. Oh, well, that's interesting, because Sheena's like, my body is a wonderland. Interesting. Sheena had to answer, and then the producers asked her who it was in her confessionals. It's like as though Sheena brought it up. But didn't they ask that question during the game, right? Yeah, it was a card game. And Sheena, yeah. I mean, listen, Sheena's not gonna. If you banged John Mayer and you dated John Mayer, are you not gonna talk about it for 10 years, 15 years to come? Right? You're not gonna not let that cat out of the bag. You're gonna be like, yeah, I did date John Mayer. So he's not happy with her. He's trying to let these rumors simmer down. But you know what, John Mayer? Nope, not gonna do it. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna mention it all. Oh, he also dated Jessica Simpson. Oh, but she's not a Jennifer. Why are we talking about Jessica Simpson, Normie? Throw me off, damn it. Okay. There is another interesting story that I find wildly entertaining, fascinating. Got me very perplexed. And do you guys remember Abby and Brittany Hensel? Sorry. Abby and Brittany, or sorry, yeah, Abby and Brittany. They're the conjoined sisters. So they had a show on TLC about their life. And so they share a body, two sisters, two heads, two brains, two like very different personalities, like two very different people. They just happen to share a body. Okay. Um, they had a show on TLC. I believe they were like first brought into the public through Oprah. Like Oprah had them on their show. They were two Oprah's favorite things. And so now they've resurfaced because they have gotten married, sort of. Brittany's already like, bro, this story is so confusing. My brain can't comprehend it. Same girl, same. So Abby has gotten married, but Brittany has not. Abby has married this man, Josh Bowling, and that is her husband. They just celebrated their wedding together, and Abby's married, but Brittany's not. I have like a, oh, sorry, I have like a something stuck in my nose. But so Abby has gotten married to Josh, but Brittany has not, and people are very confused about this. It's also kind of weird, right? Okay, just gonna preface this that I'm probably gonna say something stupid and ignorant, so don't cancel me. Like we're going through this process together, okay? We're all in this together. But so I have so many questions, right? Because well, now I guess it's come to light that he's not allowed to marry both of them technically because that would be considered polygamy, even though they have one body. He's only allowed to marry one of them. But like, I'm just like, that's like so weird, right? Like, imagine being Brittany, right? And well, first of all, we don't know if he wants to marry both of them or he like makes out with both of them. Like we don't know what he does with both of them, but we know he's at least legally married to Abby, right? And then you see them and they're like all dressed up in their little dress together with him and he's like, "Yeah, these are my wife. This is my wife and her sister." You know? And I'm just like, imagine like being part of that BOGO deal and it's like you buy one get one free, but you don't want the freebie. Like you don't want the free sister. You're like, "Nah, I'm good." Like, could you imagine? Like, my ego could not handle it. If I had to share a body with somebody else, I want to be wife number one. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be wife number two. I don't want to be the one that's not on the paperwork. Like, fuck that. No, you didn't pick me. You picked my sister, and then I still have to have sex with you. Like, rude. What if I want to date somebody? What if I want to get married to someone? Then what? Josh Bowling. Then what? Mm-hmm. What if Brittany wants to go on a date? What if Brittany's a lesbian? What then? And then Josh has to share. It's so bizarre. Like, 'cause then you also think of like intimacy and like let's say he's married to both of them, right? But like that's also like kind of interesting. Like, I don't know. It's so confusing. It's like a really awkward threesome. Cause then like when they're having intimate time together, like it's very interesting, you know? Okay, I'm gonna read some of your comments so that I don't get canceled. Joe says there has to be consent from Brittany's part, which is probably what each twin has done for each other when they've dated, had sex with their partner growing up, with their partners growing up. But do they always date the same partner? Do they date separate partners? And like, how do you determine? Like, they're also twins. Like, how do you be like, hey, I want to date you and not you? Like, how do you even pick? You know what I mean? Like, it's just like a BOGO that just goes on. Like, you don't have a choice. You know? I just, I don't know. Listen, they're incredible women. They're beautiful women. You know, all the things. I'm not trying to diminish them. I just have questions. You know? But that is interesting. And that's an interesting part too, Joe, about consent. Does he have to like get consent from Brittany every time he's sleeping with Abby? Like, what if Brittany's in the mood, but Abby's not? And then you still have to go through it because you share a body. So you still like have the same experience, you know? Like, what if one's not in the mood? What if one's pissed? Imagine when they get in a fight. Imagine if Brittany didn't, because that happens, right? Your siblings don't like your husband. Imagine if Brittany didn't even like Josh. Then what? My head just like, goodness. The comedy movie Stuck on You. Oh, I remember that. Had a sheet separating them for sexy time, so maybe that's what they do. No, but like you still feel everything. It's still your body, Mallory. Like your body is still having sex with your sister's husband. It's strange. Russ says if they're having sex, does the one he is not married to have to wear a blindfold, a noise-canceling headphones? Even if she did, could you imagine that? That's like being in a sensory deprivation tank and having an orgasm. That would be insane. You might as well at least be present for it. Could you imagine? Like, that's so your body still has all of the functions and you're still going through all the things and doing all of the things. You know what I mean? Oh, man. Norma, their body is a wonderland. Oh, man. So many questions. Thank you, book sweetheart. I agree. Michelle says also always having to basically be have a threesome with your sister. Yeah. Like that would be weird. I don't know if I could have sex. No, I would never have sex with any of my siblings. Like, no. That's just interesting. What if the unmarried one wants to get married? How do they do their taxes? So many questions. Okay, how did we go from sex and marriage to taxes? Taxes were the last thing on my mind when it came to these girls. But okay, let's go with that question. Marianne said conjoined twins usually don't live that long. Okay, that's not where we're going with it. Marianne's like, you know what? Let me just pop your little bubble. Here's a fun fact of the day. What if he is married to both of them? And then if they pass away, then you lose both of your wives. Could you imagine? At least when you have like sister wives, like you have a backup wife. Oh, this is Mary, you took this so sad. So many questions. I could get a list of 100 questions off the top of my head. Does only one of them actually feel penetrated? My ass would be asleep, yet here I am thinking about this. No, I think they both feel it. Like, they have the same body. I imagine they feel the same things. But also, that's a good point, though, Brian, because if you think about it, there are two of them. They have two heads and two brains, right? So then, like, what if one's like, I want to walk left, and the other one's like, nah, I want to walk right? Like, how does that work? You know what I mean? Because, like, your brain controls your body. Like, if I say, ooh, I want to lift up this leg, then like my brain's saying I want to lift up this leg, but what if the other twin is like I want to lift up this leg? Then that's very confusing. Or do they each have a leg? I don't know. Do they have a leg to stand on? We don't know. Imagine how violating that could be for the other sister. I agree, Michelle. I'm Team Brittany. I'm like hashtag free Brittany. You know, that's where my head is at. And I only have one. Well, actually, no, I do have two because I'm a man. So even if he only married one, he's still having sex with both, right? Exactly, Stacey. That's the thing. Poor guy. Imagine if Abby gets married to him and then Brittany joins in, he gets double yelled at. Yeah. If they're in a fight, yeah. It's just so interesting. Can they reproduce? They can. And they said that they wanted babies when they had their TLC show. They said that they had babies. Brittany in the live chat says it's sad because they deserve to both have love. And I'm sorry, those weren't in the cards you were handed. They should profit as much as they can and travel the world and do fun things. I agree. They should go full Tori Spelling, have a podcast, air their dirty laundry. Like, I am all about it. The Tori Spelling business model, I am here for. You know, I'm here for it. What if one gets pregnant? They both get pregnant, Norma. They both get pregnant. But then that's interesting because now that we're talking about pregnancy, imagine if they both get pregnant. And what if one of them's like, I want an epidural, and the other one's like, I don't want an epidural because I want a natural baby? Like, how do they then decide? And also, who's the legal mother of the baby? And why can't he marry both of them if they're technically like, are they the same? Are they like, how does that work? Like, when their IDs and their driver's license, I don't know if they drive, they have to have an ID and like a social security number and like all of that stuff. But like, and then does their ID photo have both of them in it? Does it only have one of them in it? How are you able to decide which one? I have questions. They each control their side of the body. So I figured they both have to contribute. Oh, thank you, Mia. But do they both feel everything? Does one have more control over a certain body? But that's my question, Nessa. That's what I'm trying to determine. So then if the other one gets married, do all four share a bed? Oh, that's a good question. And how do you determine who gets the coochie which night? Ugh, it feels so weird even talking about this because, like, I don't want to talk about their coochie because, like, that's weird. But, like, it's also We have questions. And then they came out and they're like, snap, snap. If you're a hater and you're talking about us, bitch, you're a fan. And they posted that on TikTok. And I was like, ooh, they spicy. Now I see what Josh likes about at least one of them. Joe says, I don't know. They're single adult lives, but they must have different boyfriends then. So the arrangement regarding sex probably isn't that foreign to them as long as consent is respected by the other. It's all good. I agree, Joe. I'm sure they've figured this situation out. We just have not figured this situation out, which is why we have questions. Abby and Brittany, come on, no filter. Let's get into it. You know? Maybe Tom was having a sensory deprivation orgasm last week. Oh, he was on Vanderpump Rules. That's true. That sounds like a thing that's happening now, you know? How did they get a job? Do they get 2 paychecks? That's a good question, Britt. Like, if they do have a job somewhere, which I would imagine that they do, can they get 2 paychecks if they can technically only do 1 job? Because, like, even if it was like a phone operator, right? You can't really be a phone operator next to your sister because then you would be like talking over each other the entire time. I don't know. So which one gets pregnant? We don't know, Susan. My mom was saying the same thing. What if one of them wants to go this way and the other one wants to go the other way? Yeah, when they get in a fight and they're like, I don't want to talk to you anymore. And then, normally you just like go in opposite directions. They can't really do that. Do they slap each other? Okay, that's not the question. Usually one controls the body. Could you imagine if one of them controls the body? That's even worse for Brittany. Imagine Abby's the one that not only controls the body, and she got a husband. Now I really feel bad for Brittany. Then there were these other conjoined sisters that were on TikTok, and they were just like, everyone keeps tagging us in this vid. Everyone keeps tagging us and asking us questions about this stuff. I'm like, oh, we're so annoyed. I was like, well, they're like, every conjoined twin is different. Or like every conjoined duo is different. Each sister controls one side of the body. Again, but then, yeah. Let's ask the real question. Why? Oh, that's not the question we're asking. If they have a baby, I think it'd be really dangerous. I mean, we don't know. How's the morning sickness? Do they both vomit? Yeah, like what happens when they get a hangover? Are they both sick? When they vomit, does it come out of both of them? One of them? Great question. Brings codependency to a whole other level. Well, I don't think they have a choice to not be codependent because they're always they're everything, you know? Trust me, they'll want an epidural. I'm sure they will. Different consciousness, even if they share a single body, so they are separate individual entities. Right, but I'm saying like if they were working a job, they're not able to perform 2 different like activities. What if one commits a crime? Could you imagine if Abby went, because Abby seems to be the dominant sister here, right? She's the one that's running with everything. Could you imagine if Abby like did commit a crime and then Brittany not only has to be around for Abby to have sex with her husband, but and she has to go to jail too? Ooh, we need them on Dancing with the Stars. I'm a twin, but I can't think about it too much because it freaks me out. I should ask Jeff about this because Jeff's a twin too. Jeff. Oh, I just got a cute good. Oh, morning, handsome. Hi. I should ask Jeff about this. What should I ask Jeff? Could you imagine if you and Justin were conjoined twins? Because, Jeff's gay and Justin's not gay. Justin's straight. Could you imagine that? That would be wild. Like if Brittany's like, you know what? I'm a lesbian and I don't want to have sex with your husband. That would be wild. Could you imagine your sister not wanting to have sex with your husband? How dare she? 2 sets of lungs, 2 sets of hearts. Not always. It depends on the actual conjoined twin sisters. TBD. Joe is the voice of reason. Normally, he's the voice of naughty things. Not today. The Bachelorette, 2 for fun. 2 for they did that. They did that. It was called A Double Shot at Love. After Tila Tequila, it was the twin sisters. Who were they? Um, I don't remember their names, but yeah. Pamela says, "Yay, I caught Zach live. Hi from NC, North Carolina." Hi, Pamela. I'm sorry this is the live you ended up coming into. Do they need a maternity test to find out who's the mother? I don't know how that would work. That's so interesting. I don't know, Zach, get them on the podcast. I would love to get them on the podcast. Side note, did you see that Gypsy Rose and her husband's play? Yeah. I mean, were we surprised? I feel like Gypsy Rose has a lot of stuff she needs to process. He was like, "I liked you better when you were in prison." He's like, I don't want you around this much." Didn't they get married when she was in prison? What is the how long? How long was Gypsy Rose not in jail? How long was she married? Did she just after nearly 2 years and 3 months since being released from prison, Gypsy Rose and her husband are splitting. How long has she been married? She was sentenced to 10 years. She was released from prison after 7 years. She got married in July 2022, but on Thursday she announced the two have broken up. Oh, she married a boy from Louisiana. I'll be careful about those Louisiana boys, Gypsy. So they filed for divorce. But they got together while she was in prison, right? Like, isn't that what happened? They were together when she was in prison, and then she came out of prison, and then they got married, and then it's like, whoops, never mind. Imagine them on more. You are not the father. Yeah. Imagine if one of them dated Morgan Wade. Oh, not Morgan Wade. Gypsy Rose is from Mallory. You didn't finish your sentence. 7 years isn't bad for the crime she committed. Good for her. Well, wasn't her thing more of a conspiracy? I don't know. How did Gypsy and her husband even meet? Wasn't he like, I would imagine he was writing letters to her in prison. He was like, "Dear Gypsy, I find it so hot that you wanted to off your mama." And she was like, "Oh, love." I don't know. Oh, another theoretical question. No, Brittany, that was not shade. I wasn't throwing shade at Josh. If anything, it was more of a compliment to Josh. You got to watch out for those Louisiana boys. Joe says another theoretical question, Zach. If your twin is into orgies and train, okay, there we go. Joe's back. Joe's no longer the voice of reason. Joe's like, let's talk dirty. That's what I mean. Like, if one sister is a little more frisky and kinky than the other one, you have to like, all right, Tuesdays and Thursdays are your days. I'm gonna put a blindfold on. You know. Ugh, Gypsy Rose is from Louisiana. Oh, okay. Didn't know. Brian says we need to bring back the Swan so we can have Gypsy Rose on it. Who's the Swan? The doctors that let her mother convince to do 35 surgeries on her should be in jail too. Who had 35 surgeries? Heidi Montag? Joe is asking the hard-hitting question. I mean, I don't know if they're hard-hitting. What if one sister likes hard-hitting questions and the other sister likes like tender, loving questions? I don't know. Lauren Elise says, "Hey, I know this is random to say, but I didn't know if you were aware of the content repeating issue on the Apple Podcast app. I DM'd you about it on Insta." Oh, that's a good question. I saw a couple of people left that in the reviews about like there being moments where there are parts of the podcast that are skipping. Or that are repeating. I think that may be like a Libsyn issue. I have to look into that. But I did see that comment. And if it is, or I think it's only happening on Apple Podcasts, so it might actually be an Apple thing. I would recommend maybe listening to the podcast on Spotify instead. And you can also catch the video on Spotify. But yeah, I would recommend that. Sorry, I will have my team look into it though to see what that issue is, because it's not an issue with the audio files that we're uploading. It may be an issue with like Libsyn and the ads that they run, but I'm not entirely sure. I'll have to look into it. Mercury went into retrograde today. Well, there we go. Normal with the good news. All right. Yeah, I don't have issues on Spotify. Yeah, Spotify, I would recommend listening to the podcast on Spotify because that is an issue that's happening on Apple, and I'm not entirely sure if that's an Apple issue. Ooh, look at Pamela came in with a super sticker. Get it, Pamela B. Welcome to the live chat. It's your first live chat. Let's get it, girl. Get it, girl. Get it, girl. To the front, to the right, to the back, girl. Is she on that? I know he thinks you're fine and stuff, but does he know how to wind you up? Jackie says, I have pet insurance. Totally worth it. There you go. ASPCA Pet Health Insurance. Check it out. Link in the description below. All right. Well. Ooh. See, Michelle says, I've noticed the repeating happens a lot when I listen to Vial Files on Spotify. Okay, listen, if Vial Files is having the same issue, then I feel a little bit better. I don't know what the issue is necessarily. Oh, it may be a Libsyn thing then, because I feel like Vial Files is also distributed through Libsyn. So it may be a Libsyn thing. I'll look into it and see. Sorry, guys, if that is an issue that anybody's facing, it's a tech issue with one of the apps. I'll make sure we try to resolve it on our end, though. But all right. Anything else before we wrap this up? Let's wrap it up. Wrap it up so we don't get pregnant. Wrap it up so we don't get pregnant. Wrap it up so we don't get pregnant. All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in today. Thank you for all the compliments in the live chat. You're making me feel like a snack. Like that. Shit. Guns are out. Ooh, sun's out. Guns out. Sorry, I just had to because I felt cute today. And because my coach was like, Zach, you looking good. You on that treadmill. You looking stat. You looking beefed up. Even my little booty's starting to come on out. All right. Thank you guys. Hopefully this wasn't too wild of a podcast. It was a little wild. It was a little unhinged. It was all inspired by Tori Spelling. You can follow me at Just Plain Zach all over the internet, or you can follow the podcast at No Filter with Zach on Instagram. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube. If you're watching this live on YouTube, be sure to hit the like button on your way out. Hit that little bell notification button down below. That way, when there's a new episode, it pops right up in your notifications. You're ready for it. We can get it. All right. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Happy Easter. Happy non-Easter. Whatever you did this weekend, good for you. Good for you. I love you. I appreciate y'all. All right. Have a good rest of your Monday. Podcast will be airing tomorrow. It will heads up. Tomorrow's episode will not be live. It'll be a pre-record because I'm recording today with Carlos King. That will stream tomorrow morning. So just know Tuesday's episode of the podcast will not be live streamed. It will be a pre-record. So you know that now. All right. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Have a great rest of your Monday. I will be live again on Wednesday. All right. Ciao for now. Bye.